have you found make a great entrepreneur?
Well, in my own life, my own experience, and also talking to a lot of other key inventors that got well known for what they did, introversion, being able to work on projects a lot, with yourself, and because you're dreaming up ideas that don't exist already. And if you had ideas, they're just ways to improve current things, there are a lot of people around that'll discuss it with you and know it, and they've read it in books. But you're working on unusual things. You've got to have a drive to believe that it might go somewhere when others don't. So, shyness can actually help you, because you also don't spend a lot of your time, partying and getting around and do a lot of socializing. Well, that's extra free time when you're young to work on your ideas.
All right. Great answer. Great way to get us started. Next question. How do you tell a good feature apart from a gimmick?
Wow. I'm a personal experimenter. I don't like to just read this product has these and these and these features. I don't like to make a judgment totally on that. I have to get it in my hands, try it, use it. And sometimes you find out that something that sounds good is awkward to use, or it doesn't fit into the user interface quite right. And those things bother me. So everyone has their own guides as to what is a good feature and what isn't. So when you're developing stuff, build it for yourself. You're right. If you're one of the people that's in that target market that really wants this particular type of device, this particular type of feature, what is good and what is bad to yourself. And that applies to people making some of the biggest products today. I see many examples when people just build it for themselves. I was heavily into gaming, so my Apple II computer was not just a computer. First time arcade machines were color. The first time arcade games were software. You could create a game in one day instead of a year. But that was for myself. It was things I wanted. Steve Jobs and the iPhone, he meticulated over making sure it was not too confusing for himself, and therefore there were a lot of people that fell in the category of being like him, and you look at the Tesla automobile, engineers would say, don't build a car with long range if it's got to have expensive batteries and it's electric. And Elon Musk, though, had a large family. He had to build a large sedan, the Tesla Model S, and that's the car that really revolutionized and started changing the world. And someday we may be all EVs, electric vehicles, because he really built it for himself. He also, the supercharging stations that make it possible to take long road trips was a critical part. You don't want just a car, you need the gas. And he built his first 6 supercharging stations were between his home in Southern California and the factory up in Northern California. You build things for yourself because you can figure out, this is what I really need to have a full product and be happy with it.
All right. Give us your thoughts on the future of wearables. Where is it going? How important is it going to be, and when?
It's hard to say because we're in the middle of it. We've actually been into all sorts of wearables for a long time. I mean, theoretically, wearables would even include shirts that you can press a button and change the color of the shirt. And a lot of these things are fanciful and fun, and that's where a lot of the good things in the world start, fun and games. As far as wearables, when you talk about watches and medical equipment you can wear and that, it's evolving pretty well. I mean, I really like going to my computer for heavy duty work, kind of productive work, and then my watch for everything I need while I'm mobile, and skip the phone whenever I can. I like to skip the phone because the watch does it on its own much easier. And I can send text, I can send, just by speaking to it, I can send email, I can ask questions about the weather, I can even navigate with the watch by itself while I'm driving a car. It's wonderful, and Apple Pay is the best thing in the world. Never touch anything. Just, you don't even have to pull your phone out. So I'm a big fan of wearables, and I'll have to admit, in the beginning I wasn't. I thought, watch screen is just too small to do anything. You really need your phone, and it really doesn't do anything more than the phone. But I've been a convert.
Got it. Okay, cool. Moving on. Are there any technologies most of us haven't heard about that we should know about, or that you think we'll hear more about in a year?
Well, we all read scientific journals, and a lot of the changes in technology and products start with a new discovery in physics or chemistry. Whether they can work their way up a manufacturing chain and be manufactured for the masses is what I always think of. And, I read the same journals and news reports and science journals and things like that to see things that are being done. The trouble is, a promising new technology at the atomic level doesn't necessarily work itself up the chain. It's very hard to know unless you're one of the people that takes it all the way from start to bottom. You have an idea. Is this one going to make it? Is it going to be at the right price? Because whenever you develop anything new, it's got to have the value that you're going to sell it for. So I don't really have a key insight than other people. Of course, I hear all the words, we have self-driving cars and artificial intelligence and quantum computers. Could they? And we keep kind of waiting. It's almost like in some cases we've got technologies like blockchain, and we're still looking for a lot of the answers. What's it good for? Batteries is going to be the biggest technology change ever, I think. It starts with vehicles, of course, but it applies to everything right down to our phones. And I'm a strong believer in optical processing. I've followed it for years and years and years, and it hasn't quite made like the mainstream replacing computers, but that means you use photons instead of electrons, which are much kind of lighter and faster and everything else that in the operations. And you can make chips that use extremely low power for the tasks that are done today. Will it happen or won't it? It's the same thing as a lot of these other technologies I talk about, quantum computers. Will it or won't it? And we keep waiting and waiting. You never really know for sure. It's hard to say unless you're actually right in the field developing it.
Okay, this is the whole question that came in. Blockchain thoughts?
What was it? What was the question? Blockchain something.
Thoughts.
Blockchain thoughts. Blockchain is it's an attractive idea to me that I kind of have come to believe less in people and more in nature. Man-made artifacts of the world, man-made rituals of the world just aren't as good as natural things like when the sun is in a certain place in the sky. So blockchain kind of gets down to, at least with Bitcoin, it was implemented in a way that it was pure mathematics. You couldn't add more Bitcoin to the formula. You couldn't just because, I feel like I want to change the rules a little. You can't change the rules. And, the Bitcoin transactions that would happen, you couldn't modify. The trust level was there. There have been a lot of coins since then that don't quite fall into the same category as well. They fall into cases where, somebody is in charge. There is some central control of this particular blockchain token, and blockchain is just the mathematics we use. So those I'm not totally a favor of. I also don't like just thinking, here's a new coin, it'll go up in value. Wait a minute, what's it for? You buy stock in a company. If you could buy tokens, and every token was a partial ownership in a company that is already ongoing and making money and has been for years, that is a conservative financial step. That's those are the ones I believe in more. The super risky ones. I mean, Bitcoin was digital gold and still is. So I kind of like what Bitcoin is. I'm not an investor myself. I don't look at it so much from an investment point of view. So when I get into to run experiments, I'm only thinking in terms of, is it really, is this one a safe and trustable one? It's so hard to tell. There's so many now. It's easy to create. And so anyway, I won't, that's all. It is a good implementation. If you want to make it possible for a lot of normal average people to buy into by buying tokens in a company, like buying shares of stock that was only available in the past maybe to very high-end investment groups, it has that opportunity too.
All right, I'm going to have to move on because I could talk about that all day with you. We don't have that much time. In fact, we only have a couple minutes left, so I think we have time for one more question, and that is focused on the underbanked market. We hear about it all of the time in this industry. I hear about it a lot whenever I'm talking about blockchain technology. So what are the things that the financial services industry, both on the legacy side, the tech side, the startups, the big tech world, can do to focus on the underbanked market?
Wow. You see, I'm a technologist and I've never really been, a CFO type person, even a business person. So I have very poor answers as to, I like to look at the technology. Is this technology real? Is it going somewhere? Are these enhancements? Understanding the market and the business opportunities really is, it's sort of a similar thing for everyone. I am kind of a financial conservative. Try to be safe in whatever you do. Make sure you're using the resources you have. Underbanked, to me, it meant like a lot of us started these companies with absolutely zero, not even a savings account in the bank, and that makes you think harder and harder. How can I achieve things with fewer resources? So look for really good engineering and companies that are efficient. You get more out for less in.
All right. Okay. Give us one more. If you were to start a company today to build into $1 trillion business, what would that company be doing exactly? Be precise.
$1 trillion business. Well, we're thinking things like Apple. We're platforms that other things could be applied to. We didn't make the entire world of products. We built a platform other people could add on, extend it, and solve problems, be applications in the real world. And today, what sort of company would wind up being at that level? Well, if you asked us when we started Apple, is this one of the ones that would be $1 trillion company? The amount of memory that would hold one song cost close to $1 million back then, so would you ever think that you're going to have 1,000 songs on a tiny little chip inside of your phone? It's very, very difficult to predict too far in the future. An engineer likes to say, here's what I can sort of see now and maybe for about 1 year ahead, but beyond that, I can't sniff the wind of what other people are doing and what's going to come. So it's very difficult to give an answer. $1 trillion company. Obviously, we look at all of you out there read the same things, and we look at electric vehicles, are getting popular. That's a whole new technology. It's new technologies that grow so fast and take over the world that didn't exist before. We also have artificial intelligence being applied to self-driving cars and so many other things. But boy, if you got a new hot battery technology, there's a lot of them down at the chemistry level right now, a lot of different approaches to new batteries. Which ones are really going to make it? Boy, you've got to have a strong business mind that thinks of all the steps from here to there. Will it really, come out and play and win the day?
All right, Steve Wozniak, thank you so much for joining me for that. We're going to have to leave it there. And I have a lot of questions